Hello, welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dream of owning a home or investing in one. Well, today's show, I'm going to be focusing on floods, which means I'm going to be talking mainly about how to maintain your home for the most part. Now, floods can happen to just about anybody today. They have been occurring lately in areas that never used to flood at all. However, I'm going to still advise you that when you're buying a home, that you still make it a contingency in your offering contract that you will back out of the deal if the home floods before you actually go to closing. You see, the way the law stands right now is that if any kind of natural disaster happens to the home or any other disaster that's not natural that happens to the home that causes either flood or fire or something else, the buyer is held responsible. If you make it a contingency, then you will not be responsible and you can back out of the deal. Or you can add in the contract that the seller will be either equally responsible or fully responsible in case anything like that does happen. The next thing that you should do when you're looking into buying a home is you can check to see whether or not a home is located in a flood zone. One way is to ask the neighbors next to the home that you're interested in buying, or you can go to the FEMA Flood Map Service Center, Google it, and once you're there, you enter in the zip code of the property and you narrow it down, and it can tell you whether or not that particular house is in a flood zone area. Now, there are other things that you may want to consider when you're buying a home. Normally, homes that are octagon in shape or hexagon in shape don't get hit by floods, hurricanes, rather, as much as other homes get hit. You also want to look at the land. Is the land sloped away from the home, meaning that there looks like it's not on the top of the hill, but sort of like a little mini hill or a mound, if you will? Or is the land sloped towards the home? Why is this important? Because, see, you don't have to have a natural disaster in order to have a flood. A flood sometimes can come with a regular rainstorm. So if it's sloped towards the house, that means that when you have a regular rainfall, you're going to have water coming into the house. The other thing that you can look at is on the outside and also on the inside of the home. Look towards the bottom. Look to see if there's like any discoloration, any slight discoloration, because if you do see that, then that means that there probably was a flood there already. The other thing is, if the area is indeed a flood zone area and you still want to buy it for whatever reason, um, let's say it may be near the beach, or it may just be convenient to where you want to work or school or what have you. See if that particular town has any seawalls or if there's any retaining walls. You can actually also install retaining walls around your home as well. And if it's a city, if they have levees, you may want to just check to see when was the last time those levees have been checked and upgraded. Because what happened with Hurricane Katrina and what happened with Hurricane Matthew is that the cities, the municipalities of these places, they hadn't updated those levees in years. And that's really no good. And that's really what caused the place to flood up a lot more than it needed to. I actually had friends that have lost homes due to that. So that's why I'm mentioning it. Next, now let's go into prevention. After you've already bought the home, whether it's in a flood zone or not, this is what you definitely should do. I strongly advise everybody to get flood insurance. Just getting regular insurance does not include flood. So you will have to get separate flood insurance no matter who you are. Some of you, I know you're afraid of insurance, you don't like them, but listen, GoFundMe is not necessarily, in my opinion, an easy alternative. Most of the time, you will need a lot of money to either rebuild or relocate. And from what I see on GoFundMe, most of the people who are asking for an exorbitant amount of money are either celebrities, uh, internet influencers, or um, medical organizations overseas, abroad. Those are the ones that ask for the money and actually get it. Other people who are asking, and when I say money, I'm talking about over $100,000. Most people that I see, they ask for less, and those that do need it, they normally nobody normally contributes to them. Because I did see one guy who said that he wanted $500,000 just because he wanted to have it, and I didn't see where anybody gave him any money at all. So I would say um, your best bet is to go and get the insurance, even if they drop you when it happens. It's best to have insurance than not have any insurance at all and to depend on GoFundMe. So just keep that in mind. Now, the next thing that I highly suggest that you have is you want to keep a copy of the bill of your bills, just one bill in each, like your electric, your water, your light, gas. You want to keep a copy of your insurance policy, your car title. Put that either in a Ziploc bag or scan it to a zip drive or upload it to the cloud, putting a password on it just in case anybody tries to break in. You want to back up all your important computer files on a thumb drive, including any photos or any videos that have great value to you, like a wedding video, or some people take videos of their babies when they're born, that sort of thing. You want to make a copy, put that on the cloud or on a thumb drive. The next thing you definitely want to do is you want to have an evacuation plan. You want to have a plan A and you want to have a plan B just in case anything happens. Another thing to help is every year you should have a plumber clean out your sewage pipes. Now, what that does is that prevents sewage from coming into your home and flooding up the place. And also, in case there is a heavy rainstorm that your property cannot handle, you don't want that rain to push the sewage into your property. So that's why I recommend that. Now, some people, what they do is they'll go ahead and install a sump pump. It's not always necessary to install a sump pump. I would only do it if the land in a certain area, like of the yard or what have you, is depressed. But if you are interested in doing something like that, I say speak to several different plumbers first before going ahead. But the other thing that you can do is you can Clear out your gutters every now and then, all drains and spouts, excuse me. You may also want to think about coating your walls with special sealants. The next thing that I know a lot of people don't do is think about your landscape. You don't want to plant trees too close to the house. Why? Because the roots of the tree sometimes get into the water pipes, and the sewage pipes cause a backup and cause your house to flood. So that's why you don't want to do that. Another thing is, if you do live in a flood zone, please note that there are certain shrubs and flowers, particularly the native plants, ferns, small trees like the weeping willow, sycamore, red maple, dogwood, elderberry, that actually are good with soaking up the water from a flood. So your property won't be as flooded as, let's say, other properties nearby. So you may want to think about that. And also, if a certain part of your yard always floods up, you want to probably grade that up with broken rocks. That helps a lot. Now, if you're not sure what plants are native to your area, you can always check with your local nursery or a landscape contractor or your county's UC Cooperative Extension Service for advice. Next, the other things that you may want to consider is you can get a gate valve on the sewage pipes. You may want to also retrofit those pipes, especially if you're buying an older house, like more than 30 years old. You may want to do that. I've heard that some places allow you to own your own drains and sewage, but that does not happen in every state or municipality. So I would definitely check to see, because normally the people who are able to do that have more control, and their places don't flood up as opposed to those who don't. Next, you want to store any heirlooms that you have in plastic bags. If they don't need to be out on display, put them in plastic bags or plastic Ziploc bags. What you want to have in your home at all times is duct tape, a manual can opener, paper plates, matches. Tarp is an extra bonus. You don't have to have that, but those are your emergency supplies just in case you do come across having a flood. You also want non-perishable food as well, for obvious reasons. Another thing I was always told is that in the basement, if you have one, or normally in places that don't flood or are not in flood zones, you don't have a basement. But here in New York, we do, where we were told that we should definitely get a dehumidifier. That would soak up most of the moisture out of the air, and also help as far as reducing mold. I'm not sure if that's true, but we do have one. And then lastly, what I've seen a lot of people do in many of the flood areas, because Virginia floods a little bit more than New York. Florida definitely floods. That's no question about it. Georgia, I think maybe sometimes, but to be quite honest, I really don't remember the last time it flooded down there, even though they do have heavy rains. But I do see a lot of people with boats in their backyard. It comes in just rowboats. It does come in very handy when the water gets to be a certain level and it's like either a hurricane or just plain old heavy rain. So you may want to, if you are in an area like that, you may want to consider it. Now, speaking of hurricanes, let's go through the checklist that is needed in case the weatherman says a hurricane is coming your way. Days before the hurricane, you want to start running your ice makers, bag the ice, and fill up the freezer. You don't want to have any empty spaces in there. You also want to freeze your tap water just in case you have any pets. You're going to need that for cleaning and drinking. You want to sanitize at least one bathroom in the house. Fill it up with water 24 hours before that storm hits. You want to start using up all of the perishables in your refrigerator because you don't want to come back, if you can come back, and you have all this rotten food. If you do have firearms and ammunition, you want to secure those properly. You want to also gas up on your vehicles, check your tires and your oil, especially if they say to you, you want to just be prepared in case they say to you, leave. I know that everybody can't always leave when the authorities say leave, go, but just in case, have your car ready, if you will. The lines will be long. I'm going to tell you right now, the lines to get gas, have your tires checked the day before, is going to be long. So as soon as you hear them say there's a hurricane, even if it's not in your state, like let's say it's the state next to you, I would go to the gas station and have all those things checked. Next, you want to get cash. You want to have enough. If you don't have Easy Pass, you want to have enough so that you can pay tolls and any other um, little emergencies out there. There are still some restaurants, believe it or not, that don't take credit cards and don't take debit cards. All they take is cash. So you do want to go to the ATM and take that cash out. You don't want to wait until the day of the flood or the hurricane to go out there. Trust me, I've been out in well, it was the tail end of a hurricane, and let me tell you, it is not a good thing. It is not. I almost got blown away for real. Next thing is, if you do plan on leaving, whether the authorities tell you to leave or not, you should call your bank and let your bank know that you plan on fleeing the state, so that this way they don't freeze your card. Next, if you do have pets and livestock, you want to stock up on those supplies just like you stock up for yourself. Another thing that I've seen, and I've actually bought them myself, but I didn't really need it when we had our hurricane, is it's good to have the sandbags. They have that special sand that expands when it's wet, and it prevents the water from the flood on the outside from getting on the inside. But of course, you need enough sandbags to completely circle your home so that the water does not come in. You also want to, if you have any old rags or beach towels, place them by the window sills. You may, this is where the duct tape comes in. Duct tape all of the windows and the door frames to prevent any extra seepage of water from coming in. And then the tarp, you can duct tape the tarp on the window, and that's an even better sealant than just the duct tape by itself. You want to close all of the shutters, windows, and doors. Bring everything from the outside either into your garage, your shed, or into your house. Don't wait until the hurricane is there or the tail end of the hurricane. Do it before. You want to get an advance refill on your prescription. I unfortunately, one of my coworkers, her relative did not get her prescription because she didn't get paid on time, and she has passed away. So, definitely, it is a serious thing to have your prescriptions filled before the hurricane or the oncoming heavy rains, flood, whatever. Next, on the day of the flood or hurricane, unplug all of your electronics because the power will fluctuate due to the high winds and it can cause damage. We also don't want to try and avoid being electrocuted, so let's do that. Um, be- Before you leave, also it's recommended that you turn off the main power switch to the house, um, which also includes the AC unit because of power surges that may happen. The date, like the night before, or like when it first hits, when it first starts, take a shower. Actually, you really should do your laundry before, but definitely take a shower like as soon as it hits. It's best to declutter because being that you don't know sometimes exactly when it's going to hit or when it's going to get real bad, because sometimes when it first hits, even if it's heavy, it doesn't immediately flood up the place. Sometimes it gets real bad at night when it's dark, and being that you don't have any power, you're not going to be able to see. So if you can declutter your home so that you don't fall over anything while you're manipulating or maneuvering your way in the dark, that would be great. You also definitely the day before make sure your cell phone is charged up. You may want to think about getting an extra battery for your cell phone as well. Okay, that was the checklist. Now, moving forward, we're going to talk about okay, the flood has happened. What are the different areas or the different causes of the flood? Well, besides the hurricane, sometimes the main pipe that's going towards the house from the city or from your house to the city pipe, one of them might be back pitched. If that is the case, then you are going to need to contact the developer, number one. You're going to need to contact the Department of Environmental Protection, and you may also want to contact your city council. And you may need to do it over and over and over again because unfortunately, a lot of times people do not want to take responsibility for their actions. And again, like I said, the money is going to be coming out of your pocket, and then you will either have to fill out a claim or either sue the developer or sue the city if they don't comply after a while. That's why you probably may want to also contact a lawyer because there is a statute of limitations. A lot of times, too, like let's say this situation that you experience, not just with a hurricane, it could be heavy rains, or it could be um, neither one of those. It could be something else, like again, the developer. If it occurs to you and many of your neighbors, and all of you have the same style house and it was developed by the same developer, don't let just one person represent all of you. Or what you do is you get a piece of paper with your demands and let everybody who has been affected sign it. Because a lot of times when one person just goes, they don't listen or take that person seriously. There's strength in numbers. So You have to work together even if you don't like one another in that particular situation. Okay. Another reason, as mentioned, the roots of the tree sometimes grow into the pipes. So there is a root killer that you can pour down into the drain every month or so to get rid of it. And it's a lot cheaper than actually hiring a plumber to do it, because the plumber charges $300 to get that done. And those roots sometimes they grow every month. It depends on what kind of tree it is. It can grow every month, and spending that kind of money every month, that's quite a bit. Quite a bit actually. All right. Moving forward, the aftermath. So the storm is passing over, the hurricane has finished, or the sewage backup has stopped backing up into your home, or the water has stopped backing up into your home. What should you do? Well, first of all, thank God that you are still alive, because that means that you can handle it. It will not be easy, because I've had the experience, unfortunately. What you want to do is you want to salvage as much as you can. You want to call your insurance, sending them current pictures of what the place looks like, and then send pictures of what your house used to look like before the damage came. Of course, you have to call a plumber. You do that all sort of like back to back in one swoop. That's how that's done. Do realize that, particularly if it's a natural disaster, your Wi-Fi may be sporadic. So keep your data plan current. Now I know both Verizon and AT&T, if it is a natural disaster that the president has uh, claimed, they will let you use your minutes and data for free. However, from my understanding, if the president does not declare it a natural disaster, they are not going to let you use it for free. If it's so bad where your whole home is washed away, or a great large portion of your home is underwater, do know that you can go to a disaster relief center and register there. Make sure you have your social security card with you and all those other important documents I mentioned before, so that you can prove who you are. When it comes to recovery, besides your insurance, you do have you can go to the www.benefits.gov/categories/disaster %20 relief. There you will find disaster loans, emergency assistance for both financial, housing, and food, and help to reestablish you as a homeowner. And that part is mainly for people whose homes have pretty much been washed away. They don't have a home anymore, because that did happen in Alabama, and I believe it was in 2011. There were homes that were there for like 40 years, and then it was a heavy rain, it wasn't even a hurricane, just heavy rain came, wipe there's nothing salvageable from those people homes. So there is government assistance to help you get back on your feet if that does happen to you. You also can contact your local emergency management agency for help, or referral to a trusted disaster assistance partner servicing your area. Don't forget, you have the FEMA helpline, which is 1-800-621-3362. I'll repeat it, 1-800-621-3362. They may also be able to provide you with additional referrals and also some help. And then next, you can contact the Salvation Army, which also provides emergency temporary shelter, or the Red Cross, or your church, and find out what they have to offer. But I know definitely Salvation Army and Red Cross can give you emergency temporary shelter if you need it. Now, let's talk about apps that you probably should have on your phone to help you out. There's one called Harmony, Harmany, that lets you know the closest emergency shelters near you. Also note Airbnb has a program called Open Homes Airbnb, which assists those who have been hurt in a hurricane. FEMA has an app. Red Cross has an app. Glimpse, Glimpse, has an app where you can see all of the rescue groups in your area. You can download the Flashlight app. You can download the Megaphone app. Of course, one of my favorite apps is Be Safe. Why? Because in case you and your family members are not in the same place when this horrific accident occurs and you get separated, because that's what happened during Hurricane Katrina. With Be Safe, it'll let you know where everybody is that has a cell phone, that is, or a tablet. So I think that's an excellent thing to have. And then, of course, you may be a little shaken by what has happened. Remember, you always have the Bible app and Insight Timer, which is a meditation app. Now, after everything subsides, let's say your house is not totally torn away and you are able to salvage most of it, but there are certain areas that still need to be repaired. Please get a licensed contractor who will get a permit to rebuild. The ones that the insurance companies, well, the one that my insurance company got me, they were actually pretty reliable and they were excellent workers, but they still had to be supervised. They were taking stuff from downstairs, like drinking beer and all that. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but I don't really like for anybody to take my stuff without asking me. That's just me. But anyway, and they goofed around just a little bit, but as far as the work quality, they did do a good job. But if you're not going to go with the insurance company's contractors and you want to go off your own, I say just proceed with caution, because fortunately, a lot of fraud and a lot of con artists, they are ready to take advantage of you. They see you in a desperate situation. They know that you're not going to think right, and they know that you're going to let a lot of things slip that you normally wouldn't. So I would be very careful. And if you want to get more information, feel free to pick up my book, The Perils of Real Estate Scam Alert. So, well, my friends, that's all I have for you tonight. Hopefully, this information will inspire you to make smart, safe financial moves. Remember, feel free to pass this along. Each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.